How's it going, everyone? Sarai the Samurai here. Today's video will be a hardcore nuzlocke of Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. Now, this might be one of the hardest Pokemon games to try a hardcore nuzlocke of. There are no abilities, there are updated moves with the addition of fairy types and mega evolutions, and the gym leaders in this game have a more diverse and strong team than the originals. But I wanted to try this game because this was the last Pokemon game I really enjoyed. Could be the nostalgia goggles, based off my love for Gen 1, but this is the last Pokemon game where I felt like there was a lot of heart and a lot of love. Now that might change with Legends Arceus coming out, but either way, I wanted to attempt a Nuzlocke of what I feel is a very overlooked and fun remake. Now, I am playing with a hardcore rule set, so I will be playing in set, and no using healing items in battle, and I will have a level cap for gym leaders. But I'm adding a few extra rules. The first rule I'm changing is I'm going to be a little more lenient with nicknaming my Pokemon. It kind of fell to the wayside while I was recording this. So I'm going to be a bit more relaxed on nicknaming in this run. I'm also eliminating all candies except for our candies. The candies you get when you catch Pokemon are seriously broken. They increase your Pokemon stats, and you could basically become unbeatable with a very low level Pokemon. I am also going to allow myself to catch Pokemon for experience, but only Pokemon I already own, including their evolution line. So, if I catch a Rattata, I can catch Eradicate to help quicken the experience gain. I'm still only allowed one Pokemon per route, and it's basically whatever I run into. I'm also not allowing myself to use Mega Evolutions. As much as I love Megas, they can be a bit broken as well. I'm also not picking up any of the free Pokemon. This does not include fossils or the Magikarp you purchase, but I will not be picking up the free Lapras, Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, or the version exclusive Arcanine. I'm also not allowing the use of Eevee or its boosting ability in battle, so the first Pokemon I'm able to catch will technically be my starter. I do these types of challenges all the time, so if you like watching these videos, definitely drop a subscription and hit the bell, that way you know whenever I upload. And yeah, let's start this Nuzlocke. I get transported into my TV by Eevee, catch the Eevee, and I run into a wild Bellsprout, which I catch, and Bellsprout is officially my starter. I then catch a male Nidoran, grabs Oak's parcel, and after talking to Oak, my rival Death comes in and forces me into a battle. He sends out his Pikachu and I send out Bellsprout. It uses Thunder Shock and I use Vine Whip. It takes a little bit, but Bellsprout ends up taking Pikachu out. Not bad for a first battle, especially being a couple levels under. Then I catch a Caterpie outside of Viridian Forest and a Kakuna inside Viridian Forest. Then it's time to fight Brock. He leads with Geodude and I lead with Bellsprout. I start with one Growth and then take a Tackle. Then one Vine Whip takes Geodude out and out comes Onix. Onix is faster and hits a pretty decent Rock Throw, and then Vine Whip takes it down to the red. Onix's next attack takes Bellsprout down to 5 HP, but my next Vine Whip takes Onix out. A little bit close for my comfort, but first badge acquired. Then I catch a Rattata, buy Magikarp, catch a Geodude, a Psyduck, a Meowth, a Pidgey, and after battling a Hiker, I find a shiny Venonat, which, of course, I fail to catch. Great job, Sai. But after getting over my emotional damage, I'm ready to battle Misty. Now, I mentioned earlier that Misty was a bit more dangerous in this game. She has a Psyduck that knows Confusion, and a Starmie with Psywave, so using Bellsprout exclusively will be a bit more challenging. I decide I'm going to lead with my Meowth against Misty's Psyduck. I start with a Fake Out, get a flinch, and then use Bite, which also flinches. Then after biting again, I get another flinch. I bite again and get a third flinch. I use one more bite and then take a pretty strong Water Gun. I then take Psyduck out with a Payday and out comes Starmie. I switch Meowth out for Psyduck and get Scalded. After another Scald, I use Tail Whip, then I switch out into Butterfree who takes a Swift. Then Scald hits hard and I miss a Sleep Powder. Starmie uses Scald again, taking Butterfree down to 2 HP, and of course, it gets the Burn. I miss my second Sleep Powder and Burn takes Butterfree out. My good RNG was completely wasted on Psyduck. I send Rattata out next, and it instantly goes down to the Scald. Well, crap. I send Bellsprout out next, it takes a Swift, and Vine Whip hits Starmie below half. After taking a Psywave, Vine Whip takes Starmie out. I feel like I could have played that a lot smoother, but a victory's a victory. Then I catch a Jigglypuff, a Vulpix, a Drowsy, and a Diglett, and after going through the SS and stuff, it's time to battle the 10th Surge. He leads with Voltorb, and I lead with Dugtrio. Voltorb goes down to a Dig, and out comes Magnemite, who also goes down to Dig. And then out comes Raichu, who hits a pretty strong quick attack. but goes down to a dig in the next turn. Well, that was the easiest battle so far. Then I catch a Chansey, a Cubone, a Kadabra, and it's time to fight my favorite gym leader of Generation 1, Erica. She leads with Tangela, and I lead with Ninetales. One Flamethrower takes Tangela out, and out comes Weepinbell. It survives a Flamethrower in the red, and a crit Poison Jab hits super hard. Weepinbell goes down next turn, and out comes her Ace Vileplume. Flamethrower does a bit below half, and Mega Drain does a little bit of damage, healing Vileplume up a bit. Then I switch into Hypno and take a Mega Drain that does some pretty decent damage. I use Psybeam and Mega Drain hits Hypno down to red. Then I switch into Pidgeotto, and Mega Drain hits way too hard. I think I went in a little too underleveled here. I switch into my Weepinbell and get crit by Moonblast. Then I forget Sleep Powder doesn't affect grass types, and Moonblast hits Weepinbell, lowering the special attack. Then I switch into Beedrill, who tanks a Moonblast. Next turn I use Twin Needle and take another Moonblast. I use Poison Jab next, and that takes Vileplume down to the red. I take one more Moonblast, and my next Poison Jab takes Erica out, earning me the 3rd badge. Then I take on the Team Rocket base and fight Giovanni for the first time. Now there's not really much to talk about in this battle, and I plan on skipping the second Giovanni fight, but I do lose Hypno to a Mega Horn from Rhyhorn. It was pretty sucky, and I could have avoided that, but otherwise it was an easy battle. Shortly after that though, I find a shiny Pidgeotto while training, and I actually managed to catch it. Then I catch Snorlax, Dodrio, Venomoth, Staryu, Tentacruel, I revive Aerodactyl, catch a Coughing, and decide to trade my Meowth for Alolan Meowth, thinking I can use a Dark type for Sabrina. But the traded Meowth is at Sabrina's level cap of 44, so no Persian, which kinda sucks. I do manage to find and catch an Electabuzz in the power plant, which is pretty hype. Then I catch Lapras and Seal, and I'm ready to battle Koga. He leads with Weezing and I lead with Starmie. I start off with a Psychic, and Weezing hits a Toxic. I then use Light Screen, and Weezing explodes, taking Starmie down to 16 HP, and Toxic damage takes me down to 4. Out comes Venomoth next, and I switch Ninetales into a Bug Buzz. I use Flamethrower, taking Venomoth down to below half, and get hit with a Sludge Bomb. One more Flamethrower takes Venomoth out, and out comes Muck. Muck uses Protect, and then next turn I hit Will-O-Wisp while taking Toxic. I switch Gyarados in and take a Sludge Bomb. Waterfall takes Muck below half, and Muck uses Toxic. One more Waterfall takes Muck out, and out comes Golbat. I switch into Graveler, and Golbat uses Protect. Then after taking a Leech Life, Rock Slide takes Golbat down to the red. Then after getting Toxic, Graveler takes Golbat out, and I take the Ninja down. Next up, Sabrina. She leads with Mr. Mime, and I lead with Gyarados. I use Crunch, taking Mr. Mime a bit above half, and it uses Reflect. Then after taking a Psychic, I forget Mr. Mime is a Fairy type, and Dragon Tail fails. Then I use Crunch and Mr. Mime Psychics. One more Crunch crits and takes Mr. Mime out, and out comes Slowbro. I use Crunch, lowering its defense, and it uses Yawn. I switch Gyarados into Aerodactyl, and Slowbro Calm Minds. Then I use Crunch, hoping to take Slowbro out, but nope, Slowbro's pretty thick, and Surf takes Aerodactyl out. Then I send Gyarados out, and accidentally click on Dragon Tail. Psychic almost takes Gyarados out, but it survives and sends Slowbro out for Alakazam. I then switch Gyarados out for Chansey. Then after taking a Psychic, I use Minimize. After taking another Psychic, I Minimize again. Alakazam's next Psychic misses, and I Minimize one more time. Then I Soft Boil Egg, and I take Alakazam out in a few turns with Shadow Ball. Out comes Jinx next. I Soft Boil to get full health, and in the next turn, Jinx's Ice Punch hits, freezing me in the process. Ice Punch hits again, and I have to switch. I send Ninetales out, who actually gets frozen from an Ice Punch. What the heck is this RNG? Luckily, Ninetales thaws first turn, and Flamethrower takes Jinx below half, and Psychic hits hard. Then my next Flamethrower takes Jinx out, and out comes Slowbro. I switch Ninetales out for Starmie, and take a Surf. Psychic finishes off Slowbro, and I beat Sabrina. Now it's time for Blaine, who is now a game show host. He leads with Magmar, and I lead with Starmie. I use Skull, taking it down to the red, and Magmar uses Confuse Ray. Starmie manages to break through the confusion and takes Magmar out. Out comes Arcanine, and I switch into Graveler, taking a Crunch in the process. I then take an Outrage, and Earthquake almost takes Arcanine out. After taking one more Outrage, Arcanine falls to Earthquake, and out comes Rapidash. I switch into Dugong and take a strong Flare Blitz. Then I switch into Starmie, who takes a pretty decent Flare Blitz as well. Next turn, Starmie ends up being faster and Skull takes Rapidash out. Then out comes Ninetales. Skull takes it down to below half, and Fire Blast does some pretty decent damage. Next turn, Skull takes Ninetales out, and I beat Blaine. Now it's time to get my last badge and fight Giovanni. He leads with Dugtrio and I lead with Dugong. Dugtrio uses Earthquake and takes Dugong down to above half. I use Ice Beam and take Dugtrio down to 1 HP. Dugong takes another Earthquake and then takes Dugtrio down with a Waterfall. Out comes Rhyhorn, and I decide to stay in and use Ice Beam, hoping to take it down. But Rhydon survives and takes Dugong out with Rock Slide. I then send Gyarados out and finish Rhydon off with Waterfall. Next, out comes Nidoqueen. Waterfall takes it down to the red, and Crunch does very little damage. Then, my next Waterfall takes Nidoqueen out, and out comes her husband. Waterfall takes Nidoking down to the red, and Nidoking flinches. One more Waterfall takes Nidoking out, and I get my last badge. Now it's time for the Elite Four. For my team, I'm going to go in with Victory Bell, Starmie, Wigglytuff, Electabuzz, Venomoth, and my shiny Pidgeot. Lorelei is first up. She leads with Dugong and I lead with Wigglytuff. Dugong uses Waterfall and I use Minimize. Then Wigglytuff gets hit with another Waterfall and I use Minimize again. Then after avoiding the next move, I set up my last Minimize. Dugong hits another Waterfall and I decide to Defense Curl once. Dugong then misses the next move and I use Rest. I'm asleep for a few turns, then wake up using Defense Curl. I use it 2 more times and then go on the offensive. It takes 3 Thunderbolts to take Dugong out, and out comes Jinx. I managed to hit 3 Thunderbolts till it hit me with a lovely kiss. Then after getting hit with a Blizzard, it takes Wigglytuff down to the red. I stay in, wake up, rest, and after some weird RNG luck, I switch into Starmie, who takes a Psychic. Scald then takes Jinx out, and out comes Lapras. I then use Light Screen and get hit with the Dragon Pulse. Then after recovering, I get hit with another Dragon Pulse, but it takes 4 Psychics to take Lapras out. Cloyster comes out next. Psychic takes it down to about a third, and Cloyster hits a Hydro Pump. 1 more Psychic takes Cloyster out, and out comes Slowbro. After setting up a Light Screen, I take a Psychic. After a few more turns, I manage to get a burn off with Scald, and I switch into Electabuzz, who takes a Psychic pretty decently. Then Thunderbolt finishes off Slowbro, and Lorelei's down. Next up is Bruno. But to be honest, we don't talk about Bruno, so let's skip this one. No? Alright, let's talk about Bruno. He sends out Onix, and I send out Starmie. 1 Skull takes Onix out, and out comes Hitmonchan. Psychic takes Hitmonchan down to about a third, and Thunder Punch hits pretty hard. My next Psychic takes Hitmonchan out, and out comes Machamp. I switch into Pidgeot, and Earthquake doesn't affect it. I use Air Slash, and Machamp flinches. Then, after using Fly, Machamp goes down. Then out comes Hitmonlee, Air Slash takes Hitmonlee down to below half, and Rock Slide hits hard. Next Air Slash takes Hitmonlee out, and out comes Poliwrath. I switch into Victory Bell and take a Superpower. Mega Drain takes it down to above half, and Poliwrath uses Superpower again. 1 more Mega Drain takes Poliwrath down to a sliver of health, and then I take it out with Poison Jab. Do you see why I didn't want to talk about Bruno? He was too easy. But next up is Agatha. She sends out Arbok and I send out Venomoth. I start with a Quiver Dance and instantly get paralyzed with Glare. Then, after taking a Crunch, I manage to Quiver Dance again. I'm now faster, but I'm fully paralyzed, and Crunch hits me down to below yellow. I manage to get a Psychic off and take Arbok out. Then out comes Golbat. It uses Air Slash, Venomoth survives and takes it out with a Psychic. Then out comes Weezing. 1 Psychic takes it out as well. Then out comes Agatha's first Gengar. I decide to switch Venomoth out for Pidgeot, who isn't affected by Shadow Ball, and in the next turn, Gengar Sludge Bomb crits, taking Pidgeot down to the red. Then after using Fly, I switch Starmie in, who's hit hard by a Sludge Bomb, but Psychic takes it out. Agatha sends out her last Gengar, and I switch in Pidgeot to avoid a Shadow Ball. Then I switch into Victory Bell, and take a Sludge Bomb. After taking 1 more Sludge Bomb, Victory Bell hits a Sleep Powder, and then I switch into Electabuzz. But the next turn, Gengar wakes up, uses Sludge Bomb, and poisons me as I set up Light Screen. I decide to sacrifice Electabuzz to get a safe switch into Wigglytuff. Sludge Bomb hits Wigglytuff above half, poisoning me, and I use Thunderbolt, paralyzing Gengar. Next turn, Gengar is still faster, and thanks to the poison damage from the previous turn, takes Wigglytuff out. I then send out Starmie and take Gengar out with Psychic. Agatha's down, and now it's time to face Lance with only 4 Pokemon. He sends out Seadra, and I send out Venomoth. I start with a Quiver Dance and take a pretty decent Hydro Pump. I use Quiver Dance again and take another Hydro Pump. I use Leech Life for getting its physical and get a little bit of health back, and Hydro Pump takes me down to 8 HP. Lance then switches Seadra out for Charizard, who gets hit hard by my Psychic, and then next turn it goes down. Then out comes Aerodactyl. Psychic hits hard, but Aerodactyl survives and takes Venomoth out with an Earthquake. I said Starmie out next, and after taking a Hyper Beam, Aerodactyl goes down to Scald. Lance sends out Gyarados next. I start with a Psychic and Gyarados misses Iron Tail. Then after another Psychic, Gyarados uses Hyper Beam. During the recharge turn, I set up a Light Screen. And then I use Recover and get hit by Waterfall. Psychic finishes Gyarados off and out comes Seadra. Psychic hits it down to the red and Seadra uses Dragon Pulse. After using Recover, Seadra uses Hyper Beam and Light Screen wears off. I use the recharge turn to switch into Victory Bell and take Seadra out with a Mega Drain. Out comes Lance's Dragonite next. Victory Bell uses Sleep Powder, putting Dragonite to sleep, and then I Growth once. Then I use Poison Jab, and Dragonite stays asleep. After my next Poison Jab, Dragonite wakes up and hits a strong Outrage. But it doesn't matter. My next Poison Jab takes Dragonite out, and it's now time to face my rival Death in the championship. He leaves with Pidgeot and I leave with Starmie. Death starts the turn off by Mega Evolving and missing an Air Slash, and I use Scald. Then he switches Vileplume in to take the Scald, which he's already screwed up. I use Psychic next, hitting Vileplume down to below half, and it uses Solar Beam, which is the only attacking grass move it has. And next turn I take it out. Raichu comes out next, and I switch into Victory Bell, who takes the Thunder. Then, after taking an Iron Tail, I put Raichu to sleep, and then I Mega Drain to get some health back. Then, Death decides to switch into Rapidash as I go for Growth. I switch Starmie into a Flare Blitz, set up Reflect, and then take another Flare Blitz. I then use Recover, and of course I take another Flare Blitz. I use Scald next, taking Rapidash down to the red, and after healing up with a Full Restore, Scald takes Rapidash down to the yellow. My next Scald takes Rapidash out, and out comes Raichu. I switch into Victory Bell, and I manage to get a Giga Drain off before it woke up. But next turn, Raichu does wake up and hits me hard with a crit Iron Tail, which also lowers my defense. I should have Poison Jabbed here, but instead I used Mega Drain, taking it down to the red. Next turn, Death heals Raichu up with a Full Restore, and I go for a Poison Jab, taking it down to below half. I go for Poison Jab again, but Iron Tail kills thanks to that defense drop. I send Starmie out next because it's my fastest Pokemon. I use Psychic, but Raichu lives in the red and takes Starmie out. I'm only left with Pidgeot now. I avoid the first Thunder and fly up in the air, but Raichu's next Thunder hits me while I'm in the air, and I Rage Quit. I legitly could have won this challenge if I used Victory Bell better against Raichu. I know I'm ending this video on a loss, but I do plan on making a part 2 later. When I do decide to come back to this and make a part 2, I will have a better idea of what to use and how to build my team. Losing these types of challenges has almost become a staple of this channel, but I really look at them as learning experiences. Not just for me, but for you guys as well. Because then you could watch these videos and know what to avoid for your own challenges, and avoid making the same mistakes I did. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below, and if you would like to see a part 2. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.